What's that book you've been reading about?
It's about heroes who get to go on adventures, defeat the monsters, and save the day.
How do you define this show? Because I think it's much more than HBO horror show. You know, I think it's more than that. How do you define it?
I would describe Lovecraft Country first and foremost as a family story. This is a family trying to do what every other family wants in life. A legacy. What is their legacy? Where do they come from? What is their history? These are questions that every family around the world wants to know, and they have issues. They have family issues just like everybody else. It's just that the Freeman's family issues happens to be dark magic. You know, but every family's got something, right? And you know, so they're on the quest to find out what their legacy is, and they're doing it through some very difficult times that should not be, which is, you know, like you spoke of, you know, the Jim Crow era and things like that.
How would I describe Lovecraft Country? I would describe it as a family drama wrapped in a horror cape and put up on a sci-fi pedestal.
Interestingly enough, Lovecraft, even though he was a master of terror, he was also a massive racist. And one of the themes he often explored in his work was the dark secrets that families hide. You see, and everyone has a secret in the show, which we will explore more. But it's these secrets that bind us. It's also the secrets that tear us apart.
Right now, I gotta go. I know we were all meant to go through trials and tribulations. But this world is haunting us.
In the first 10 minutes of the show, I think it's the best pilot in many years that I've watched it, because it's impossible. You wanna see the second one, you know. In the first 10 minutes, I thought the monster would be like in your head, a metaphor of what you lived. But then they were here, real.
In real life,
completely different. And then you have to run for the real monsters, the police officer, and all the stuff. And all this happens in 1 hour. So it's amazing. I want to know what made you to take this part. I'm sorry for my bad English, but
oh no, you're doing great. Man.
You read it, you understand, right?
Yeah.
Because the pilot's amazing.
Yeah, what pulled me into the story?
Yeah,
and we want to do it.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm really sorry.
Man. I got you, man.
Thank you.
I would say just kind of like, because when you first read a script, you're an audience member. You know, you're an audience member that may potentially jump into the world. And so I saw what you saw. I thought, okay, Lovecraft. I did my research before I got the script. I look at the script and I go, oh wow, they're putting these guys in intangible form. You know, the monsters are going to be in tangible form. You know, and then, you know, not to get too deep or too serious, you know, I grew up in the South of the United States, you know, where we deal with a lot of bigotry, racism, etc. You know, and kind of to the aforementioned point, you know, that monsters are real, you know, and for me, you know, the Ku Klux Klan was real, you know, and like these were scary ghosts that walked around sometimes. You know, if I was down home at my grandparents' house, you could see them, you know, these real monsters. And so as an artist, I thought, wow, that's incredible, you know, and now what we're going to do is we're going to amplify it. You know, we're actually going to give you monsters, and not just an idea of monsters, very specific monsters from H.P. Lovecraft, from Edgar Burroughs, you know, from Edgar Allan Poe, you know, from Mary Shelley. We're going to bring all these monsters into the world, you know, and so that's just exciting, you know. And then what I call, you know, the reality of it, the dog shit reality of it, is that this is a human story about this young man who, with his family, they try to achieve something, you know, they try to live up to the legacy that they have, you know, and you add monsters to that, it just makes it, to me, more real, more real.
Yeah.
We get to show everybody what the real point of view of Atticus and the Freeman family and the Lewis family and the Baptiste family and the Braithwaite family is.
One of the greatest things for the show is each character evolves each episode. When first met Letty, she was more like it's not angry, but was more spontaneous, I think. But then we met this girl behind her and in the past, and you kept this really hidden for us, So how was to develop little by little? I think would be like a great experience for an actor.
It was, because it was about peeling away certain layers of Letty. On the outwardly she is filled with this defiance. She's a disruptor. She comes into town and she's a bit of a tornado.
Yes, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Yeah, but really on the inside is this woman who's desperately trying to find her tribe, trying to find her home. She suffers from this feeling of displacement and wants to just be reborn. She wants to shed herself of her old self and wants to do good. She's tired of being, frankly, I don't know if I can say that. But in finding this purpose, becoming more of a woman on the front lines, like an Ella Baker, trying to help out her community. It's also still for a selfish reason sometimes with Letty, which was interesting to explore the contradictions of her. Because she so badly wants a family, but yet she rejects her own family. I had a lot of fun playing Letty because she's a woman ahead of her time and really doesn't belong in this time, and yet will not apologize for who she is either.
The first one's for Abbey. It's about her character because each kind of changes. Each episode, she has a different layer. She looks like a megalomaniac evil villain first, but then we see her relationship with her father, with the world. So the question is, how does it feel to show those different sides little by little, and constructing a different persona for us, for audience?
It's most interesting to watch a character who has an arc, right? Who starts in one place and ends in the other, and yet she lives with these the person that she is. She lives with that, right? She's fundamentally the same person at the beginning as she is at the end. It's just the journey that she goes on. And yeah, it is a little bit of artistry, sort of deciding when you reveal certain parts of this person, when you don't, when you hold back, which is what human beings do, right? We're different people with depending on who we're with, depending on the scenario that we're in. And so it was very much kind of mapping out how much I wanted to reveal. But for me, the most beautiful and terrifying thing about Christina is that she is all of those things at once, that she is like an oppressed, deranged, kind of violent villain, and all at the same time a damaged, kind of needy, lonely woman just trying to find her place and trying to get her needs met. And so yeah, it was constantly sort of figuring out where she was in each given moment. And so that then when you do reveal when you reveal her vulnerability, if she has been somewhat stoic previous, then the vulnerability is more impactful.
I thought the world was one way and found out it isn't.
One of the different aspects for her sister, for Letty to her sister, is that her sister kind of limit her dreams, and Letty seems to be, there's no limits. I can get the job that I want, and this is amazing. I suppose there were real women doing that, right? So, do you have any inspiration, research material?
Yes, well, I did quite a bit of research with thinkers like Gwendolyn Brooks and James Baldwin and Lorraine Hansberry was a big inspiration. But the biggest inspiration for Letty was my grandmother.
Really?
I grew up hearing stories about this beautiful woman who I never had the fortune of meeting. She passed away before I was born, but she was this beautiful woman, single mother, raised 4 kids by herself, and every morning would go to work and make sure her clothes were ironed and her hair was done, and stepped outside with so much dignity and went to work cleaning the homes of white folks. And regardless of how they tried to rob her of her dignity, of her pride, and how they neglected her, mistreated her, underpaid her, she was defiant to not allow them to erase her dignity. And that is such a radical act to me. And there were so many women like that. That's what I come from. You know, that's what my teacher refers to as that familiar ancestral blood memory, you could call it. We come from resilient people, you understand? And that is Letty, you know, she's got this resilience. She, instead of running from her shadow, she runs into it, you know?
I think we all would love to have Uncle George in our life, especially as a kid, because he has this library. He loves to read fantasy. I think it would be great. And I would like to know if did you have someone like him who inspired you in this role?
I had a series of people. My dad was that person for me. He could fix anything. He was the smartest person in the room. He was funny. I loved him beyond measure. And but I've learned to have, when I lost him 25 years ago, I've learned to have a series of people that are my earthly fathers and mothers, and James Earl Jones was one of those people for me. Lloyd Richards was one of those people for me that took my dad's place and that keep me, you know, if you're blessed and to be able to do what you in your mind you dream to want to do, and you get to that pinnacle and you get in the rarefied air and you think that you're all of that. If you don't have anybody to tell you, boy, you better get back down in the valley because the valley is calling you, you're in trouble. And we see that so often these days, that people are acting out, and there's nobody to be able to pull their coattails and say, go sit down. So I'm blessed to be able to have those people in my lives to be able to say, Court, go take the garbage out.
You always also have kind of superpowers, you know. You experience shooting with CGI. I would like to know, does it feel silly to watch nowhere?
It's an actor's dream in many ways, you know. Like, I grew up doing a lot of my work on stage, and sometimes you just look out and there's nothing there, and you have to pretend, you know, you have to act, use your imagination as if, you know, there is a dagger in front of you, you know, Macca's, you know. So in this case, you know, with monsters, with ghosts, with slow chase sequences, it's kind of a dream, you know, and you kind of just believe it, you know, you believe it. And the writing and the characters and the world we've built, it's when you come to set, like, you're in that world completely, you know, and if you believe it, you know, you can play it, you know. And so I just believed in all the monsters.
This legacy belongs to our family.
We gotta face this new world and stake our claim in it.
This is our family story.